Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. So, as you might have heard by this point, I had to completely reinstall the OS on my machine because there was a nasty virus that nothing would get rid of. So, I wasn't able to save the files for Cinderella Phenomenon, and I had to play through the entire thing over to get to this point. I tried to make all the same choices as before, and I forget what exact point we left off on, but I'm pretty sure it was this. So, we're out on the town with Karma after having made up from our little spat, and before I can say anything, we hear the sound of hooves and both of us turn. I can see a procession of knights, along with the king on his horse. He normally rides into town like this, but today he's not smiling and there are way too many knights riding with him. And is that Sir Alcaster? Let us go find a place to stand and watch. As you wish. Claude walks with me into the crowd gathering around the king, and we find a spot to spectate at the very edge, closer to the alleyways. The perfect place to get kidnapped again. My beloved citizens of Angielle, I have come before you today to make an important announcement. Ever since I was given this crown, I have sworn to live my life for the people and to rule in all fairness, so that our kingdom could enjoy great peace. The best peace. The crowd breaks into applause, very short-lived. I stare at the king, an uneasy feeling in my stomach when I notice that there is sadness in his eyes, though he is smiling. Then I noticed Sir Alcaster appears to be hiding a smile. I do not like where this is going. The king's speech goes on for long minutes after that, with him detailing the commitments he made, the goals he set, and finally his love for the people. The audience around us claps and cheers, but Claude and I are silent. Something is not right. I nod in response. To this day I keep this promise. I would never break this oath, for it is the foundation on which I rule. The audience claps again, but I am silent, watching the king intently. Yes, we've gotten this. We understand that this is what you're doing in this moment right now. Unfortunately, the unwelcome news that I bring you today gives me reason to hand this foundation over to someone else. I have fallen terminally ill. Oh no. The king's proclamation is met with shocked and angry chattering from the audience. I cannot hear anything that is being said over the cacophony of voices, but I know that the audience is dissenting. I stiffen as I stare at the king. He's lying. I can tell by the firm set of his jaw and the way his eyes flicker across the crowd any faster than they ought to. The king has lied to me so many times before that I can recognize when he does it. I know that this unfortunate news must come as a shock, but this is an illness for which there is no current cure. As for the question of my successor, he trails off for a few moments, and I think I see something in his eyes that hints at urgency, but I am not sure why. Crown Princess Emmeline is unmarried and still too young to rule on her own. I feel a pang of irritation and confusion. Another lie. Emmeline could rule just fine with the help of Sir Mithros and the others. After much thought, I have come to the conclusion that our kingdom, which still continues to face danger from the witches, is best put in the capable hands of the commander of the Order of Caldera, Sir Alcaster. What? I cannot hide my shock. The rest of the audience reacts similarly, their sudden outburst a testament to their confusion. While I will be providing support and assistance from the sidelines, I cannot in all good grace continue to wear this crown when I know I cannot serve my people as they deserve. Simply put, I believe that the witches have gained more power in the recent months, and that Sir Alcaster is best suited to deal with these conflicts. The Fairytale Curse runs more rampant these days, and there have been more reports of incidents involving magic. Murmuring continues, except now the townsfolk sound panicked. This cannot be true. I do not miss the reluctance in the king's next words. Sir, Alcaster has also suggested a number of remedies to our laws, especially concerning our security and work hours. I believe that Sir Alcaster can better rule this country in these turbulent times. Please show him all the love and loyalty you have shown me. That bastard. Claude has a foul expression on his face, and his words feel heavy, even in a low whisper. I know the king. He takes every duty upon himself and would never hand his crown over to someone else. Once Sir Alcaster comes to stand on the podium, he silences them with a glare. Citizens of Angielle, I swear to you that I will serve you as well as Gennaro has. That being said, I also believe some changes will need to be made. Sir Alcaster continues to speak. He mentions things like curfews for safety, extended work hours, and additional taxes to go toward the knights, but I am slowly beginning to block out the drone of his voice like I have on many occasions in the palace. What is going on? Sir, no. Alcaster must have done something to force the king into this charade. The king stands behind Alcaster with his hands clasped, his eyes alert. But there is a helplessness to them that I have never seen before. It isn't long before the crowd's unsettled murmuring becomes agitated whispering. I am stunned when Claude cups his hand to his mouth and starts shouting, There is only one king! King Gennaro! Claude grips my hand and starts leading me around the outskirts so people cannot spot him as he continues his shout. The crowd begins to chant along with Claude, and then they draw nearer to the stage where my father and Alcaster are standing. There is only one king! King Gennaro! There is only one king! King Gennaro! Let's go, Lucette. I've sown enough chaos for one afternoon. The crowd is right next to the platform now, and the chant carries on. Claude pulls me behind him, but my mind is on my father and his desperate eyes. Hours later, the Marchand's Tavern is chaotic. People are talking over each other, trying to relay the scene that they saw in town today. Every visitor here is talking about what they witnessed. I have been in a corner of the room this entire time, trying to understand everyone but failing. Delora and Parfait are not here to calm all this chaos. Hey, Princess. How are you feeling? I almost jump when I hear Rumpel's voice. Surprised? I can feel when a damsel is in distress, my lady. I'm really not in the mood for your flirting, Rumpel. Oh, my apologies. I thought you might have wanted some cheering up. Where's your partner? He went out to town to survey the situation. Karma doesn't do anything around the tavern, but he does a whole lot for you, doesn't he? I suppose that's the least a man in love can do. What? Love? Me? What? Never heard of it. What is Rumpel going on about? Princess, you're pink. I am not. My mind feels all scrambled now. This is all Rumpel's fault. Thankfully, before Rumpel can continue talking, the door opens and Delora walks inside to call all the Marchand boarders into the reception room. When I step into the reception room, I am surprised to see two familiar figures standing beside Parfait. Emmeline and Rod. Both of them look downtrodden and discouraged. Everyone is noticeably shocked as they step inside. The prince and princess? Where did they come from? What is happening at the palace? What of Queen Ophelia? We need silence in the room, everyone! Delora raises her voice, effectively causing everyone to pause. She glances at Parfait, who nods and then turns to look at Rod and Emmeline. Princess Emmeline, if you would tell everyone what you told Delora and I. The room is unnaturally quiet as Princess Emmeline begins her story. She starts with the events of 1 week ago. In the middle of a family dinner, Alcaster burst in with soldiers and seized her, Rod and Ophelia, in front of the king. Sir Alcaster said if the king didn't hand over his crown, he would kill us. We had no idea a coup would be staged. The three of them were taken down to the prison cells, with Ophelia taken to a separate cell. Sir Fitzgerald helped us escape, but only just barely. Fritz. Are you openly disobeying your father? Yes, because Fritz is a good boy. I love Fritz. I really wanted to do Fritz's route first, but it's locked right now. So, I hope that he's safe. Alcaster wanted to kill the king. I'm sure that he still will. But he has no reason to. The king has already handed over his crown. I speak before even realizing. Everyone stares at me, including Rod and Emmeline. Alcaster is a foul man. I only think he usurped the throne now without violence because he wants less resistance from the people. He never spoke up to my father before. Did you just say father? It's a long story, Em. Emmeline looks between Rod and I, her expression confused. You know each other? We do. Emmeline looks like she wants to say something, but she remains silent. Our mother is still inside the palace. We need to save her somehow. Answer, Fitzgerald! What happened to Fritz? We don't know. He helped us escape, but we were spotted at the last minute. He told us to run on ahead and leave him behind. We didn't see him again after that, and we couldn't just wait, so Rod brought me here. Right. Now we need to piece together this situation as quickly as we can, and then we need to figure out a way to save the king. I knew Alcaster was up to something, but I never thought it would escalate into this. Jurian? What do you know about this? Garland and I weren't stripped of our titles because we disobeyed Alcaster's orders. It was because we overheard Alcaster plotting something and tried to tell the king of his plot. We gave him a warning, but the king did not believe us. Not with Alcaster and Mithros whispering in his ears. The king didn't think Alcaster was possible of such a betrayal. He thought we were trying to turn him against Alcaster for our own gain. And so Alcaster stripped us of our titles and banished us from the palace. Lady Parfait found us, and while we were happy to help out at the tavern, we also intended to eventually do something about the mess in the palace. So, Alcaster has been planning to do this all this time? When we part for the night, Parfait and Delora take Rod and Emmeline to a room that they can share. It has been decided that they will be harbored here at the Marchen, a place that Emmeline apparently knew about but never came to because she wasn't cursed, unlike everyone else. Well, Rod did say that his family knew he was cursed, so there you go. I noticed Emmeline looking at me many times throughout the night, but she never asked me anything. The next few days are a muddled mess. Everyone is busy trying to find out what happened, and what can be done to help the king. I am sweeping the tavern half-heartedly one day, my thoughts on everything but my chores. Everyone's been trying to do something to help out the last few days. Though I've gone on quite a few trips into town with Claude to search for information, I haven't been able to find much. I feel so useless. I'm finally on my break, so I decide to go into the reception room to rest. When I step inside, I notice Emmeline sitting on the couch. She waves me over as soon as she sees me. She hasn't really openly spoke to me since she has been here. Parfait and Delora have been trying to hide her so as not to cause a ruckus in the Marchen. Oh look, it's the princess! The crown princess! The crown princess is right here! So, rumors are dangerous now. You're Lucette, right? Yes. Rod told me about your curse. He said that you're the king's blood daughter. I'm really sorry. I'm shocked by Emmeline's sudden outburst. What? I didn't mean to, but I took your place. How could I forget my own sister? We're not blood related. That doesn't matter. I would love you regardless. Emmeline was always trying to take me out and do things with me back when I was still in the palace. I distanced myself from her because I thought the king loved her more than he loved me. I still think that maybe he does. We weren't close. I barely spoke to you, or to Rod. Didn't he tell you that? He did. But Perhaps now we can turn over a new leaf? Emmeline is as stubborn as always. I have more things to worry about than being her friend. I have to go. I walk off before the conversation can continue. If I hadn't been cursed and remained in the palace, would Sir Alcester have taken me hostage too? The hours tick by, and as the tavern is emptied for the day, Delora calls about everyone together to explain what she and Parfait have pieced together about the situation. All right, everyone, we've come up with some new information. The first is that Alcester has cracked down on the riots in town. Anyone seen protesting his rule is thrown in prison. The king always valued the people's opinions. Alcester does not want opinions. He only wants to rule with an iron fist, much like my mother would have wanted. Our patrols have shown that there is overall more security in the palace and around town. They have been charged with keeping people quiet in whatever ways they possibly can. As we heard from the prince and princess, things are most turbulent in the palace. The king is still alive, but it is unlikely that he will stay that way for very long. One thing is clear. Given Alcaster's motives to take over the kingdom, I doubt he will rest until the king is dead. The king's men have turned against him, and even if there are loyal soldiers still left in the palace, we cannot contact them right now. Rescuing the king and queen will be on us then. We just so happen to have people in this tavern that have a shot at rescuing them. Prince Rod has the key to the secret passage we can use to break into the palace. Secret passageway? But only the king and the commander of the knights have the key to that passage. So how did they get a copy? Who's going to join us on this mission? Say I. Jurian and Garland both volunteer immediately, followed shortly by Claude and Waltz. I'll go too. The room goes quiet as I step forward and volunteer. Princess, we can't just allow you to put yourself in danger. I look at Claude, who is staring at me, shocked. I took up the sword so I could protect those I care about. Princess, you don't have nearly enough practice. But I can help. I still have time to learn. I agree with Parfait, Princess. The palace isn't the place for you to try out your newfound sword skills. Then you may as well chain me up, because I refuse to stay here while you all go and save the king. Princess. Well, she has been practicing with the rest of us. Don't encourage her, Julian. Or Jurian. Well, it's not like any of us can stop her anyway. She's Princess Lucette. What are you gonna do? You're right, the princess is quite stubborn. Claude agrees with Jurian, but I can tell that he does not like the idea of me going along with them. If only we had the time to get reinforcements from Karma's country. Karma's country? Brugantia. How is it possible that a Brugantian citizen can simply ask for reinforcements? Karma is the crown prince of Brugantia. There is some shuffling in the room as everyone turns to gawk at Claude. Rumpel, Anise, Rod, and Emmeline all looked shocked by this revelation. What? You're the Lost Prince? Lost Prince. It sounds like such a tragedy, doesn't it? Anise suddenly looks distressed as she fiddles her thumbs. Oh. All this time, and I never knew. I'm so sorry, Your Highness. There's no need for formalities, Anise. But I am the Lost Prince, after all. I keep my lineage a secret because right now I am just a normal commoner with normal commoner women's clothes. But you're the prince. Couldn't you still ask for reinforcements? Even if I did ask for reinforcements, I'm pretty sure they would never come in time. Besides, I can't go back to my kingdom yet. He cannot go back while he's still cursed. The conversation continues in a more solemn tone. Eventually, we start speaking of our plan to enter the palace. When the details are finalized, I repeat everything to myself to make certain that I know what is meant to happen. what will lead us to the palace then. And Jurian and Garland will follow right behind him, watching for the most immediate enemies. Leave it to us. We'll deal with any resistance before it touches you, Princess. And Karma will be watching from the back, along with Delora. A witch and a prince for backup. Delora smiles wryly. Claude rolls his shoulders. I'd like to think of us as more the closing act. Though, if it all goes according to plan, we will have no need for either the opening or closing act. It is a small task force, which is better. The smaller the better. The last thing we want is to be noticed. We decide to meet again over the course of the next week to finalize our plan and carefully survey the situation in town before parting. Claude has taken to training me, Jurian, and Garland at the same time. Just the other day he had all of us attack him together. Even though I am nowhere near as good as a trained knight, I still managed to hit him once. I feel like things are coming to some sort of conclusion. And yet I still haven't done 3 good deeds. And on that note, I will see you all in the next video, so catch you then. Bye bye!